Their big announcement today, their minister out and about the arrest of illegal foreign workers. A record 600 arrested in just 1 month. Arrested, not charged, not criminalised, not deported. That's just arrested, right? Channel migrants detected in the black economy, nail bars, car washes, restaurants, delivery people. It's across the board. I would be surprised if 10% of London's workers weren't in the illegal economy. But these numbers are, 19 people a day. 600 sounds a lot, doesn't it? But 19 people a day. Sam Armstrong, what do you make of this?
1 in 12 people, at least 1 in 12 people in London is an illegal migrant.
That's
someone that broke into our country, that took 2 fingers up to our laws, that said, do you know what, deserving people that want to come into the country, I don't care about you, I'm going to skip the queue, I'm going to pay a bunch of organised criminals to take me across on an incredibly dangerous journey, to then request that the British Coast Guard comes and picks me up, comes and drags me back and puts me in a hotel at their expense, and then waltzes around London. This is not a small problem. This is not just at your local car wash.
Yeah, why are you bothered about this? It's happening over there. It's across the board.
This is everywhere. You walk around London now, you see 12 people, 1 of them stole the right to live in this country from you. They have stolen money from you by making you pay to put them up in a hotel. And you want to tell me that 18 arrests, 19 arrests a day is going to even touch the sides? It's not. It's disgusting. It's disgraceful.
Apart from an arrest turning into actually anything happening is another thing. But most of the people who are working illegally in the black economy, and I get sort of across the country, it's not just in London, most of the people working illegally are actually people who arrived here legally. But for some reason, we don't keep a record who's come in, who's come out. But also, it is an offence for an employer to employ someone knowing that, you need to know that they are legal. I can remember when I was going back to work from maternity leave, and one of my mates and I, we have kids the same age, let's share a nanny, because actually, weirdly, it was cheaper than the local nurseries. London's nurseries, you're looking at a fortune. And we employed, lady, and I only did someone part-time. And I mentioned it on the show last week, lovely woman, absolutely wonderful. And I said, okay, I need to obviously see your visa to work. She was somewhere in Eastern Europe, but not in the EU. Perfect English, of course, And she didn't have a visa to work. And I'm like, well, I can't employ you then. You can't. I said, you can't work here. You have got no right to work here. But of course, someone would have employed her. She had a CV showing she'd been employed for years. But this is the thing. So I want to hear from you. What's your reaction? This story, particularly about the Albanian criminals, also the fact that we're having this crackdown. Do you believe anything will come of it? Do you believe that Labour, are really going to get on top of this, or are they only doing it because they're so worried about reform and the threat from them? By the way, I think the same with the Tories. The only reason they did it, because I'm not sure. One of the biggest problems is no one's cracked down on this because the Tories didn't bother for years. It's utterly bizarre. Is the problem the lawyers? We've got a government of lawyers now, people in tribunals and people appealing, and lawyers saying, oh, no, but, his kid doesn't like chucking chicken nuggets abroad. Utterly bizarre stuff, but it's actually real. This is like, the EU and bent bananas. No, that was true. It was a real directive, and we're told, oh, don't worry your pretty little heads. This is actually happening. Give us a call, 0344 499 1000. Text the word talk and your message to 87222. You can send us a message on X at Talk TV. You can also, of course, get in touch on the YouTube page. Calls are charged at the national rate. Text cost 1, standard network rate message. It does blow me away, these stories, but at the same time I'm like, well, yeah, we know this was happening. It is not beyond the wit of man. Donald Trump is showing this, and it's interesting, the latest polling in the States, more than 60% of Americans do actually, so damn sight more than the people who voted for Donald Trump in the election, do actually support the mass roundup and deportation of illegal migrants. And yet you've got the Democrats going, this is outrageous. The American media, this is awful. Sorry, and they're particularly, they're going after people with criminal convictions who are illegally in the country. Why is this controversial to anybody?
Well, the truth is, nobody cares when politicians now whinge and whine and all the rest of it. And do you know why? It's because they have been like the boy who cries wolf for years and years. They've said, no, it's not happening. Then they've said, no, there were special circumstances. No, that's fake news. And yet around everyone, on every high street in this country, it has changed. The picture has changed. The gangs that are loitering outside, the shop facades, the Turkish barbers. When I grew up, I had a barber called Colin. He would cut my hair every month or so, and it was a really nice old bloke in his 60s and 70s. those people have simply been put out of business. Every single barber in this country that is opening now are Turkish barbers that the NCA say, the National Crime Agency say, are a major front for illegal migration.
There are some in many towns and cities and some of the local high streets. There used to be sort of 4 barbers, and now there are 60. I mean, that scale, and they're basically just money laundering exercises. A lot of them are not, there may be many that are legitimate, but yeah. But this is my thing. So if everyone knows this, yeah, what are you doing about it?
It is staring us blindingly in the face. And you bring up mass deportations. You ask the British public, would they support mass deportations, rounding up tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people in this country that are here illegally? They would support it tomorrow.
And I don't even care if you're working and you're doing a production job now. You don't have a right to be here. I don't have a right to just go to America and just start working there. I don't have a right to do that, so I don't do it. If I did and I was found out, I would expect to be deported.
You can't. We don't let people steal goods in this country, although sometimes we're trying to.
We've literally legalised that.
We cannot allow people the right to be able to steal from us, the right to live in this country, to go off, and then to come up 10 years later, 15 years later, and turn around and say, no, you can't deport me because my child doesn't like the chicken nuggets they get back in Albania. What has happened to this country? We had an empire. We won the Second World War. We restored freedom throughout all of Europe. And in a generation, in living memory, we have gone from the greatest country on earth to a country that cannot deport organised foreign criminals who stole the right to come into this country because of their children's preferences for chicken-based fast foods.
I mean, nailed it. What are your thoughts? 0344 499 1000 is the number to call. Get to your messages very soon. Let's also talk about these WhatsApp groups. So we've got 2 Labour MPs. Andrew Gwynn was actually a health minister. He's out on his ear after the WhatsApp groups, WhatsApp messages in his group. Thousands of messages being posted. Poor judgment, sexist, racist, misogynistic, homophobic, anti-Semitic jokes. I think the one that everyone picked up on was basically a mock response to a pensioner who'd written to a local councillor, David Sedgwick, and Andrew Gwynn posted, this is a load of MPs in his local area and councillors, posted a mock reply. He said, "Dear resident, F your bins. I'm re-elected and without your vote," because the lady had written saying, "Look, I'm not your, didn't vote for you. Screw you, Dave. P.S. Hopefully you'll have croaked it by the all-outs," meaning the council elections. Basically saying, I know it's a joke. I don't think he's honestly saying he should do that. Let's not be literal about this. And we all make inappropriate jokes. Well, I think most people make. I think people who don't make inappropriate jokes are a little bit on the dull side, to be honest with you. Would I like my WhatsApps to go out? I've got to be honest with you. I think I say so many supposedly inappropriate things every day, apparently. I mean, on the radio and in person, I don't think anyone would be surprised. I don't think it'd be a story, to be honest with you. And I've always think, I'm not a hypocrite. I've always defended the right people. I can vehemently disagree with someone's general political stance or even what they've actually said, but still defend their right to say it. I think people have a right to make lewd, inappropriate, jokes in private. I think that I don't want the thought police policing what people say in private conversations at home or in the pub or in a WhatsApp group. It shows a lack of judgment for someone who is a government minister who would be a waggy finger, "Oh, you should go, you shouldn't do this, oh, outrageous," be outraged by anything a Tory or Reform or anyone else would do, and yet would in his own private WhatsApps do this. It's hypocrisy. It's poor judgment. He had to go. There's no way that Keir Starmer could keep this guy on. Another younger Labour MP is only 29 years old. I'm not entirely sure 29-year-olds should be MPs. I think you should have a little bit of experience of life. Oliver Ryan, he's MP for Burnley, another leading member of the group. He can't say, "Oh, I didn't see anything, Gov." He posted more than 2,000 messages himself. His career looks like it's over before it's begun. Should the consequences of these sort of WhatsApp groups be so big, given that just been told that tomorrow this story is going to be all over one of the papers is involving the Tories and one particular WhatsApp group. Look, and apparently the quote is, "It's pretty bad."
Here's the truth. Every single MP that you have ever met, maybe some of the old ones are the exceptions, maybe some of the really ancient dinosaurs are the exceptions.
What is WhatsApp, people?
But bar them, every single one is in one of these groups, and any day now, they could fall out with one of their friends. Yeah. That friend could take all the screenshots, send it to a newspaper, and their career would be over. Yeah. Now, I say that that's wrong. I say, actually, do you know what? Let people have jokes. The worse jokes, the more inappropriate a joke is, the more funny I find it.
Yep.
So actually, do you know what? I thought a little bit more of Andrew Gwynn for some of the jokes, not all of them.
No, some of them were actually quite funny.
Quite funny. But he has been a clear perpetrator, a joint co-conspirator in setting a standard for public life, which is ridiculous.
And cancel culture. And Labour completely signed up to cancel culture.
Totally. And he said, I bet he would have said, cancel culture was a myth. It's just people being held responsible for their own actions. Well, you got what you asked for, Andrew.
Yeah, that's it. For me, it's hypocrisy. I think that's, again, it's like the lockdown. Like, no one cares whether Boris Johnson ate cake or had a glass of wine or... No, it's hypocrisy. That's always what gets politicians in the end. I really want to know your thoughts on this, because I think we're both free speechers, but I mean, genuinely, I'd be absolutely appalled. I mean, there's things he can't run as a Labour candidate again in his local area when basically anything he says, all the opposition parties would just print leaflets with what his joke about a 70-year-old. But also, why are you mocking? He was a pain in the backside person who's constantly getting in trouble and arguing about every little thing and being a pain. But if it's someone asking, as a resident who pays their council tax, about their bins being collected, I don't know what you're mocking her for. I don't know what you're mocking. I think it's just outrageous. Let's also talk about trade tariffs. Every morning now we wake up and there's a new story and it involves Donald Trump, not only being the first sitting president to go to the Super Bowl, which apparently is very big news to people. I just don't care, but there we are. I had a talking to from a teenager about not knowing enough about the act in the halftime, but I'll still cope with my life. Donald Trump said he's going to announce a 25% import tax on all steel and aluminium entering the US across the board. Biggest impact is going to be on Canada, but 10% of UK exports of steel go to the US. Here's the question: what should Keir Starmer do about this, other than de nada, zero, zilch, nothing?
Well, look, there is a clear mantra or philosophy behind Donald Trump's tariffs. I know everyone's turning around and saying that, tariffs are never good and tariffs are always awful. Actually, do you know what? Tariffs are sometimes good. And I'll tell you for one reason why they're good. In the 1990s, America made 70% of the world's aluminium. Today, which is one of the other measures getting targeted, today it makes 10%. Why? Because America banned the really, really polluting way of making aluminium.
Cheaply.
What happened?
Yeah.
China came up with an even more polluting way of making aluminium, and it started making it for a third of the price, exporting it all over, and tens of thousands of Americans lost their jobs. But here's the thing: Canada, the UK, neither of us are in that category. Yeah. So the message that Western politicians have to get to Donald Trump is, look, actually, we don't think you're mad. We do understand there's something you're going on about.
But tariff him, not us.
China, India, Brazil, some of these countries hugely polluting, getting rich off the back of our net zero stupidity. Yeah. Those are the places that
also paying very low wages. But one of the reasons, again, they've also got very low energy costs. So whatever energy they use, they'd still be able to do it more cheaply. There's the economies of scale, but there's also a trade-off, isn't there? You can have cheaper goods, but if no one's got a job left to pay for those cheaper goods, it doesn't really help. It's interesting. We're going to be talking more about that later as well. Let's also talk about a new super party. This was spouted in the Sunday papers. I wonder where that story came from. Was it from Labour, Tories or Reform? We know that Reform, as latest polls, has been topping Tories and Labour. A lot of Labour MPs, particularly in the Red Wall, very worried. Those voters who voted for Boris for the first time for Brexit to get that done in 2019, then went maybe back to Labour because they're angry with the Tories last year, now going, oh, good God, what did we do? Looking at Reform again. Nigel Farage riding high, I think, genuinely setting the agenda in a way that Kemi Badenoch at the Tory leadership is not. They've just topped 200,000 party members. Again, they're saying if anyone can come in and verify whether they're real members, it's not just bots, they really are real members. People paying members of the party, that's a good, lucrative source of income. Tory membership dwindling by the day. Talk about a mega party. There's some talk that some of the right wing of the Tories want to bring in Boris Johnson, bring him back, get him a nice safe seat, if such a thing exists anymore. He comes back as the leader. They suggested Nigel Farage as Chancellor, which I thought was absurd, with all due respect to Nigel, and combine the right as the only way of basically ousting Labour at the next election. Reform immediately went, not a chance, we won't work with the Tories, and Boris Johnson is one of the reasons we're in such a mess already. And Tories, though, haven't kind of quite ruled it out. So what are the odds of this happening?
Well, they say about the Conservative Party that it's only ever had one consistent policy over the course of its existence, which is, on balance, it's in favour of them being in charge and the other guys not.
Getting elected. And they've been very successful at it for many, many decades, centuries even.
There is nothing so consistent in politics as charlatanesque cynicism. But look, we are now in a situation, and people will get fed up with me saying it, which is Keir Starmer can be as bad as he wants. He has
and he's doing that.
And boy, is he working hard at that. But he has found his people, and as long as he keeps those people happy, and as long as the right is divided, he will be walking into Downing Street next time, re-elected, with maybe not as big a majority, but more than enough of a majority to continue peddling his mad policies for as long as he wants. So look, I have no idea if a pact is going to happen or not, or indeed what form it might take. But I would say this: unless either that happens or one or other of the parties, Reform or Conservatives, win out, Keir Starmer will continue to govern as long as he wants.
I think a good majority of 100, if not. Who would be the leader? Loads of Tories don't like Nigel Farage. A lot of people, they're not impressed with Kemi Badenoch. You know, the man you helped in his campaign, Robert Jenrick, is he the man? Is he the man to inspire everybody? Who else?
Well, look, here is the thing. Boris Johnson riding as the king overseas, coming back.
I'd vote Labour. I'd vote Labour over that.
Would
Seriously.
you really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Keir Starmer.
100%. I would vote Keir Starmer.
He was even worse than Boris.
He's worse. Yeah, and just no, because he's a busted flush. Boris Wave, mass immigration, legal. He's a total betrayal of everything that he promised. All the economic problems we've got right now, largely down to his lockdown decisions. Didn't do detail, lazy. Absolutely, just went for the easy option instead of doing the right thing by the country. And everyone goes, "Oh, we didn't really want a lockdown." That's even worse. He wasn't even a true believer. No, absolutely, the hypocrisy over lockdown and Partygate. Genuinely, that man steps into 10 Downing Street again over my dead body.
There we go.
There, Nadine Dorries, come on and discuss. What do you reckon? I mean, genuinely, anyone who thinks, as I tweeted yesterday, if you think that Boris Johnson is the answer, you're asking the wrong question. 11:24 is the time. Up next, take your calls, messages. Love to hear your thoughts on all the topics we're talking about.